Take it to the elevator. I'm voting.
But that's where it's real. It's real for that.
I'd like to call the order of the Pikes Peak Road Transportation Citizens Advisory Committee for today, October 1st, 2025. Jim is off on his annual fun games of going down to the Albuquerque Balloon Festival, so I will be leading the meeting today. First of all, I'd like to read the purpose. The primary objective of the CAC is to ensure that the capital, maintenance, and public transportation projects and programs approved by the PPRTA voters at the November 2nd, 2004, November 6th, 2012, November 7th, 2017, and November 8th, 2022 ballot measures are accomplished with PPRTA funds. This committee reports directly to the PPRTA Board of Directors. All right, so Rick has established that we have a quorum and established the voting members. Are all members available to vote then today?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 present and a couple online. So yes, we have a quorum. I think we have 10 total, and a quorum is 9.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item is to approve the agenda. First of all, we need to actually make an adjustment to the agenda. Manitou Springs has requested that we look at a contract item that they have submitted just this week. I asked if we can get a motion to approve the addition of the item from Manitou Springs. It will be listed as 6C as in Charlie on the agenda. Do I have a motion? So thank Rick. Do I have a second? Second. All right. Thank you, Barb. Very good. Thanks. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimously approved. Next item is actually the approval of the agenda with the amended item included. Do I have a motion to approve the original agenda with the added item? Thanks, Tony. Do I have a second?
I would second. I'm sorry.
All right, who should we? David, okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Approved unanimously. Next item is public comment period for items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone from the public? Or do we have anyone online, Jared, that we're good? Okay. Hearing none, and Jared indicated we have no people online. We then move on to item number 4, approval of minutes from the September 3rd, 2025 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Barb, do I have a second? All right, Tony. All right, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. All right, Lisa.
All right, Lisa Corey, Finance Manager for the PPRTA. The sales and use tax I'm reporting is the collections for the month of July. In July, we came in above the monthly budget by $834,292, or 6.3%. The total received for the month was $13,276,637. July of 25 revenues were above July of 24 actual by 260,972 or 1.9%. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Lisa? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Lisa. Moving on to item 6, capital maintenance and public transportation contracts, City of Colorado Springs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gail Stoddard with the City of Colorado Springs. I'm first going to present 6A, which is a line item transfer, and asking for your approval on it. As you can see in your packet, there are 3 separate tables that are included in there for consideration for line item transfers. The first one in table 1 is PPRTA line item transfers from capital projects and programs, a variety of projects and programs, all into the Academy Boulevard, Fountain to Milton Proby Parkway. The reasons why these projects and programs have been selected, they are either they are closed out, they are nearing closeout, and we have a better idea what funding is going to need to be retained to finish them. And then the third one is they no longer require capital funding. I will point out towards the bottom third of the list, you'll see a handful of trail programs. Those are RTA 2 trail programs. They are willing to give us those funds to be able to finish the Academy project. And you will see when we get into table 3, where we're giving them some PPRTA 3 monies for programs that they need to be able to do work now. You will also see, you won't see it this month, but you will see next month. We've also worked diligently with the Parks Department for the 26 budget and making sure they have the funds that they're going to need to be able to achieve the work they have planned for the remainder of 25 and into 26. So pause there. It looks like there's a question on table 1.
Yeah. It's okay. So the trail improvement ones, that makes sense, what you've said there. What about the $4.5 million coming out of the emergency bridge fund? We don't have an emergency bridge
We have
fund?
emergency bridge. Yes. So I have been saving quite a bit of money in that emergency bridge fund for a couple different reasons. One had been to help with local match for some grant projects that frankly aren't moving at the pace that we thought that they were going to do. And one of them was really the Cajon Railroad Bridge that I'm going to let the railroads come and replace in its current location. So I feel like I can let that go out of my management reserve. I also was holding some for the Fillmore Bridge. And then just general, I mean, we've talked about this probably a handful of times. We have a variety of older bridge structures that are in bad shape. What I'm doing is pulling all my monies out of management reserve, putting them into Academy now, and building up my RTA $3 to be able to address those as need be. Knowing that if something were to happen, I would probably have to move monies around again. The last thing kind of related to that, the other reason why I was holding money in emergency bridge fund was actually for the last remaining RTA A-list project to go to construction, or it's going to be the Fontenero Railroad bridges, which I've always had to use emergency bridge funds for too. So again, I'll build up those funds again with RTA $3. We felt it was more important to make sure we're fully funding the named projects. And as they close out, if funds become available, then we can move them back. But I got to make sure I've got all my contingency and minor contract revision accounts covered. Any other questions on table 1? Otherwise, I'll move on to table 2.
Gail, I do have one comment.
Sure.
In our previous discussions on these trail projects, you do have agreement from the Parks Department
100%.
to
Yes.
do this, and they're in agreement with doing this, and then they'll get reimbursed later to make sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really, we all have collective goals to deliver the capital projects we've identified. We've just worked with them on the timing of funding to be able to deliver the projects that we need. So yes, you will see, I'm giving them the funds they need today to be able to accomplish what they want in 25. And when we see the 26 budget, you'll see we've accommodated some other things as well for what they need.
All right, thank you.
All right. Table number 2 is really focusing on transit capital programs that are in RTA two. There were four transit capital programs. Most of the monies had been in the sidewalk and bus stop program. Transit desires to pull those funds out and put the 19,816 into the ADA paratransit bus system vehicle replacement, and then another 243,000 on the van pull replacement. And that's really to help meet the local match requirements for replacement vehicles they have coming in. And then table 3 is to focus on funding changes or line item transfers for RTA 3 funds. The first one is to take just over $1 million out of the Midland Trail crossing. Were construction funds. We've intentionally been delaying the construction for other reasons on that project. So we're freeing up those funds that can go to the Pikes Peak Greenway and support the Parks Department efforts that they have. And then we're pulling $1 million out of the 25 budget for Powers Boulevard and moving that to the Rock Island Trail project, again, to help support Parks deliver the projects they have planned that they need to have funds to obligate here in 25. So we're asking for the CAC's recommendation for the PPRTA board to approve the line item transfers outlined in tables 1, 2, and 3. Don't ask me too many specifics about that Rock Island Trail.
I'm gonna ask another question that seems strange. So you've got a line item transfer of just about $1 million from Rock Island Trail to Academy Boulevard, and then a line item transfer of $1 million from Powers Boulevard to Rock Island Trail. Why not just
They still need the money.
What's that?
They still need the money, but I need the RTA $2 to finish a named RTA 2 project. And Parks has the same program at RTA 3. So I'm essentially taking their $2 and giving them $3 to accomplish the same work they had planned in 25.
Okay.
Gail, on that Powers Boulevard transfer, is that going to have any effect upon the progress of that project?
No, absolutely none. I had funded more than was necessary to meet the city's side of the reimbursement agreement. I carry some other funds and powers because I have to pay for some of the utility relocations directly in program management. So those monies are available in 25 to be transferred.
Anyone else have any questions for Gail on this? Go ahead.
Do you know if that million is for the Rock Island from Paseo West? Is that what that's allocated to?
I believe so, but I would need to verify with Emily Duncan and Lana Thielen. But we've worked with them. It's over a piece that they're getting ready to go to construction on.
It must be because there's nothing. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other questions or comments for Gail on this?
I have a general comment, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I understand the need for these various projects and the money being necessary for them. So I will be voting yes, but I have some serious concerns about this. It feels like, especially on that $4.5 million out of the emergency bridge fund, that's basically half of the total amount going to Academy Boulevard, Fountain, Milton Proby. And it feels like, I understand what you're saying, Gil, with moving stuff. You'll make sure that money gets back into it. But I feel like it might be kind of defeating the point of having the emergency bridge fund if it basically just becomes a slush fund that you can move around as necessary and,
Right. Well, and
whenever you need it.
Right. Frankly, I wouldn't have done this if we weren't already almost a year past the end of RTA 2.
Right.
And I've got a couple remaining RTA 2 projects. We'll have Academy, which will leave fully funding today. You'll also see me bring 8th Street. That's going to leave one other A-list named project that needs to be funded. It's the Fontenaro, a railroad bridge project, which frankly, I was going to put the monies in there. I have another plan to be able to make sure, because that siding bridge was never included in that RTA A-list project. It was only the main line. There's a lot of nuance related to that Fontenaro bridge, but I'm trying to make sure we fund the named projects now and work and develop a plan for the other programs that are going to be necessary to support infrastructure in the city.
And there's emergency bridge fund in PPRTA 3.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay.
Well, and that brings up another question from what just Rick said. Is this emergency bridge fund coming out of PPRTA 2 then?
Yes, it's only two monies.
So you have a surplus then from PPRTA in the emergency bridge fund is what you're saying?
I had earmarks for specific activities that I was concerned we may need emergency bridge funds for. I'm at a point where I'm willing to give those up and rebuild those contingencies in the RTA 3 bucket, and focus on delivering the A-list named projects.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments for Gail? All right, I'd like to have a motion for approval of these three items that she has presented. And thank you. Do I have a second? All right, thank you. Craig? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to move on to item 6B, which is the city's contracts. Today we have 6 contracts for your consideration. The first one is for the Academy Boulevard project from Fountain Milton Proby Parkway. This is an A-list 2 project. There is a map included in your packet. We came to the CACN board in August of this year to get approval of a not to exceed value of 22 million, thinking that was going to be enough to fund the underground work that needed to happen for that particular project. And then we'd be funding basically the surface improvements afterwards. Our construction contractor has come up with a very strategical and surgical way to phase that project to get that project in as quickly as possible but minimize disruption to the traveling public and businesses in that area. But to be able to do their phasing plan, we really needed to fully fund the contract today as opposed to forcing them to piecemeal and not necessarily follow their expedited phasing plan, which is one of the reasons why we did the line item transfers we just saw on the last item to make sure we could fully fund it. The city did go through an RFP process. We had 3 proposals. We did select SEMA, and I believe I let you know that verbally when we met in August. But we are asking now that we fully fund that project for $482,835. Please note that of that amount, just under 4.7 million will come from Colorado Springs Utilities, and a little over 42 million will be coming out of PPRTA. The city's second contract is for the 8th Street improvements. This is also a PPRTA 2 A-list project. The city went through an RFP process. I will warn you, we are not quite finished with the contractor selection process, so I will generalize where we are in the selection process without divulging things that I can't go into the procurement process. But we did receive multiple proposals. We have an idea. We had both technical pieces that was best value. So we have technical responses plus cost. So we understand where our upper threshold for the cost would be. But we have narrowed it down to a smaller pool from that larger pool of respondents and have asked some subsequent questions to be able to make a final determination. But we do, selecting that contractor is of the essence. Time is of the essence. 1, because of the long lead items for utilities, because there's a majority of water line work that needs to go along with this project. And 2, we have a very strategically planned water outage that needs to happen on this main transmission line that runs in 8th Street underneath the roadway improvements. So this is why we're coming and asking for a total of a not to exceed value to approve this contract from our selected contractor in the amount of $12,200,000. That would be split with an upper threshold of 4.5 million to PPRTA and 7.7 million by Colorado Springs Utilities. The city's second contract is for the Cut Boulevard extension. This is a PPRTA 2 A-list project. There's a map included in there. This is a part that had to be completed in 2 phases. Back in September of 2023, yes, 2 years ago, I came and let you know we were in a possession and use agreement with a property owner that was necessary to get right away from to be able to complete those road improvements. I had council approval, had RTA's approval for at least the initial appraised value of up to $580,000, which we had to deposit to be able to go through this possession and use process. We've been working in negotiations with this owner for these last couple of years. They did finally produce their own appraisal that was higher than $1.2 million. We have agreed on a settled price of $910,000. Because we were already pre-approved for $580,000 from PPRTA, we're asking for an additional $330,000 to be able to meet this settlement agreement price. I have already taken this to City Council for their approval on September 22nd, and it is currently scheduled for the consent agenda on October 14th. So we're asking for the CAC's recommendation for board approval. The city's fourth, fifth, and sixth contract are all related to one project, so I'll describe the project and then hit each of the 3 separate contracts. This is for the Garden of God intersection improvements. This project is 90% funded from a state highway safety improvement program, with a local match coming from PPRTA traffic program funds. This is essentially to improve intersection safety between Hilton to the west, on the west end, to Mark Dabbling, improve signals, raise medians, and do ADA upgrades in this particular area. So the first contract, or contract number 4, is for the engineering services. By the way, there's a map that shows that extents too in your packet. My apologies for not mentioning that. The first contract is for engineering services. The total is $242,868.75. The PPRTA portion of that is $25,286.88. And that's coming out of the RTA2 Roadway Safety and Traffic Operations account. And that has been awarded to Olson based on a selection on our on-call contract. The fifth contract related to this is for materials testing. The city has selected Granite Engineering Services to perform that work during construction. We have a total contract value of $93,375. The PPRTA portion is $9,931.50, coming out of the RTA 3 Roadway Safety and Traffic Operations. And the fifth contract is for the construction services. The city went through an IFB process where we had 5 respondents. We selected Spinsterwald to be able to do this work for us. The total contract amount is for $1,036,607.98. The PPRTA portion of that is $103,660.80 coming out of RTA 3 Roadway Safety and Traffic Operations monies. Those are the 6 contracts we're actually asking for recommendation for approval, and I'm happy to take questions.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Gail on these 6 projects? Go ahead.
So on the 8th Street project, you've got a not to exceed for $12.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Are your proposals, your estimates you're getting for that looking like that's going to be an appropriate amount?
We have set those higher than the bid prices we've received thus far.
Okay.
And so I know that it's adequate funding from what we've seen. We are hoping for significantly lower than that, but we want to make sure that we're covered depending on how this goes with the final selection.
Okay, thank you.
Tony?
Just because I'm a nerd.
I am too, so it's okay.
The math on 4 and 6 works out. The math on 5 does not. 10% is supposed to come from PPRTA. 9,900 is more than 10% of 93.
Yeah, and I
1,000.
believe we had some overmatch in that particular one because of a change order we put in during the design process.
Okay. It's not a huge difference, like $600, but just
And they did it in 2 chunks too, so it's, but I know that there's likely that we had an overmatch requirement. Those were the monies that were in the contract. Oh, and there actually, I know positively it was an overmatch because the way the grant award was split up was between pre-construction or engineering services and construction. And so we did have to have a small overmatch on that.
okay.
Sorry, thank you for reminding me of that.
For which we're handsomely rewarded.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Gail on these 6 projects? We have none? No, it's checking. Oh, okay. Nothing there. Okay, good. All right, hearing none, I would like to get a motion for approval for these 6 projects that is presented by Gail. Okay, Barb and
Second.
Tony seconds. All right, thank you. All in favor for approving these 6 projects, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. All right, now on to item 6C, which we added on as an addendum at the start of the meeting. This is Manitou Springs. We have some visitors here from Manitou, and I also understand that Karen Rowe is also online from Manitou also.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Tobias. This is Karen Rowe, and I'll lead this conversation. And then if you have more questions about the project, we have Ben Schmidt, the city engineer and director of public services here, as well as Felipe Lopez, project manager. So I came to you in August as the Manitou Springs PPRTA representative and asked for $100,000 for the Creek Walk 4 project. You approved it for construction. The project's really quick. It started in September and ends in October, early November. And so as we've gotten going during this first month, there's some field conditions and some other things that may require an additional change order. So I met with the city on Monday and they said, hey, Karen, can we use more PPRTA funds to make sure we have enough money to cover our CMO? And then also they may want to use just more PPRTA funds to replace some of their other funding. So I said, yeah, you have 115,000 left in PPRTA 2 project funds. And so this request is to add an additional 100,000 from PPRTA into Creek Walk 4 for a total not to exceed of 200,000 for the Creek Walk 4 construction project. And the city's doing everything they can to keep the budget low and to make sure that they're minimizing the amount needed for the change order. But we wanted this funding just in case. And so that's basically the request, is to increase the not to exceed amount from 100,000 to 200,000 from the PPRTA to capital funds. With that, I'll see if you have any questions.
Go ahead, Rick.
I just, you made a comment that they wanted some of the funds to cover some of their other projects. Are those projects approved by the RTA boards?
Yes, the project is approved by the PPRTA. When I say their other project, it's just portions of the local match. So this project is funded with CDOT MMOF, TAP money, and it needs a 20% local match. Revitalizing Main Street grant has a local match, and they're putting in their open space funds and some other funding sources, and they just wanted to have additional PPRTA funds from the city's portion of the project funding. So it's all going to Creek Walk 4 project with West Fork Construction.
So all the money is going to be used for PPRTA approved projects.
Yes, just
Okay,
one
thank you.
project. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Maybe this is a question more for our staff. And I don't have a major problem with approving the request as it's proposed, other than the format. Huge kudos to Gail, for example. All of us saw every request has a graphic. Every request came in about a week ago at least for our agenda packet for us to review the weekend prior to this meeting, so there's plenty of time to review. Great graphic scale as always, and the county as always. Josh, to you, great work. I don't see any of those attributes with this one. This came in yesterday without a deep explanation of who would be presenting, what exactly the project looks like. Can you help me, Rick, with the screening process you require of entities? I mean, if there's an emergency, we all understand that. But I'd like to think this is not, I hate to think this is not the first time this year, the second time, third time, fourth time. I'm kind of losing track. Actually, fourth time, Kathy, that we've had walk-ons the day before an item comes before this group. And I have the highest regard for Manitou. I know this is a small community. I know they're overwhelmed. They've got great people. They have fantastic intentions. However, there is a process, and the other communities are held to a very high standard to get in advance, graphics, explanation, justification, plenty of time for those of us who want to weigh in on the projects. We've got almost a week. Usually, Rick, you release the materials Thursday before, usually, I believe. So we can noodle on those and ping anybody we want to. But I feel fourth time out of maybe 4 months, we've got a day before issue coming before us. Can you refresh our memories, please, as to your process, the requirements, and what we hope that we'll be seeing from all member agencies?
From a staff standpoint, we don't have a hard and fast rule on a process. Over the decades, we've allowed walk-ons. We've allowed, for example, the city of Colorado Springs has a TBD. So quite often there are not complete presentations that are in the Thursday packet. So I guess it's pretty much up to the CAC and the board if you want to set some firm rules, but the staff has not set any rules, and the staff and the CAC and the board have not set any firm rules for the staff to implement.
That's good to know. I would like to think that we would have a collective consensus. I'm not going to ask for a vote necessarily today, or maybe this is an item for future discussion on a future agenda about having meeting materials in, with the exception of, I'm not sure what a bona fide emergency is. I think we need to have that option always available. I don't sense this is a bona fide emergency, and I didn't get the sense there was a complete staff packet developed well in advance of this. I'm just struggling with the process more than the project.
Well, I will say one thing too, is that when Rick sent me the first email saying that we had an add-on, it was just this one-page non-formatted type of layout. And yet today, when we got the additional information, it had the attachments, which is what we've asked in the past, and that is the PPRTA, form and layout, so that we can better understand what's going on. And I guess my question too is, if you were going to do that, why didn't you just submit the PPRTA form instead of just this generic form that was originally sent to Rick, which would have, I think, helped us a little bit more on understanding, what was going on this particular project.
Yes, thank you for those questions. And just wanted to say that we understand the position that you're coming from looking at this and wanting that information. This project has about 3.5 weeks left in its schedule. And so every daily, hourly, minute decision that we make has huge schedule impacts that then lead into potential delays in the future. And our goal is to get this thing completed and make sure that everything is built correctly before we run out of weather window. And so the evolution of these change orders that has happened, I would love to provide a complete package that shows exactly what the change orders are, the reason behind every single one of the change orders. These change orders have been evolving in real time and have a bigger schedule impact. For example, I can kind of explain some of the backstory of just the evolution just from Friday into Monday as we're getting this information developed. So right now we've got the roadway project, which is moving along, the sidewalk, curb and gutters being installed. And in the development of the project, we found the trolley car line that did not show up in any of the SU plans or any of the excavation. We historically knew that it was there, but without knowing, just potholing randomly in the middle of Manitou Avenue, it was tough to find out exactly where that was. So we found it, and but it has huge impacts to the traffic calming component if we can't plant trees because there's a big concrete block in the way, and how the tie-ins and the elevation of the existing roadway connect with the sidewalk profile. So we're trying to adapt all these field decisions in real time. We're out there every single day making calls to try to save the project money and talking about what does this potential change order look like so that we can make sure we understand the budget and schedule impacts. And so when we're having those conversations, to date right now, I don't have a full change order. We just have a scope, but the scope is being measured and developed as we speak for this project to make sure that we get this done and built all time. And one of the other big things we're thinking about is, okay, we have the original design of the project and what the intent was, which was all approved by TAC. But as we get into these field decisions, we need to think about, okay, now that we're discovering these things, how do we protect this project in the future? And so, for example, one of the change orders that we're waiting on the information for is a potential mill to connect the existing roadway back to the curb and gutter. And this is a key component because instead of just filling back to the curb that has already been installed in place that might be wavy and allow water perforation, we're looking at how can we make sure that we protect this investment that we've spent a lot of time and effort, taxpayer dollars, to make sure we're keeping safe and protected in the future. So the idea is that in any of these future projects, we would love to bring a full comprehensive ask saying, here's the change orders, here's what we've done to save money. But just given the time frame in the last week and a half, we didn't really have the full scope to even add that information into for a dollar by dollar comprehensive report.
Or are you saying that you may come back next month with additional change orders for this project then?
No, our ask right now is for the complete amount of the change orders based on the scope that we've analyzed and figured out over the last 2 days. We have a rough idea of what that is, and that's what our ask is right now, but we wouldn't ask for anything more. And I think one of the other big things that's really important to us from the city's perspective is before we come and ask for money, we need to make sure we're doing everything we can to manage the contract appropriately so we don't have to ask for this. So a couple of examples I can provide for that we've saved on project scope before ever asking is bringing our city staff in to bring some class 6 road base to help stabilize the project rather than asking for a change order. Using our city resources to help with some utility relocations rather than asking for a change order from the contract. Using our own project management services to help reduce the scope of our consultants so we don't ask for a change order. So we're really trying to be cognizant before we ever come back and ask for money that we're managing that project effectively before coming for you, but we don't anticipate a further ask after this.
Okay. Well, like I say, the one comment I mainly had is it would have been much easier for us if we'd gotten this PPRTA form, which would have given us more information, up front versus the original one that you sent to Rick. And it just makes it easier for us to, deal with too. So, all right, Tony?
So, I fully anticipate this is gonna be approved. I'll be voting to approve, but what would you have done if you came and we said no? If you're already this far into the project and it's just coming up because there was no anticipation of it, no engineering plans beforehand to handle these things that are just popping up. I mean, if we said no, what's the backup plan if you're already in the middle of it and have 3 weeks left on the project?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we would have been able to put it back and get the project built. But with the note that every time you drive to park at the project, you would see that there were potential water perforations in the future. So we're not looking at what's to get the project done right now and pat ourselves on the back. We're looking at, hey, what is the impact of 20 years from now and how do we protect this ahead of time so we don't have these problems? We're really trying to look ahead. And this is the opportunity to really fix it under contract and do this right.
And if in 2 weeks you find another concrete slab that you didn't expect, or, rails that you didn't expect, another spot, then what?
Well, fortunately, this is the only one that's there. And that was part of the scope development and the excavation and the discovery over the last several days that we've been figuring out to get this dialed in to make sure that we know exactly what's happening.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I just saw it popped up. All right, Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The question, and again, please don't misunderstand. I don't have a problem with the project. The problem I have is with the process. Here's why. And I think I'm still inclined to vote no on this. It has nothing to do with the project or good intentions or the fantastic work you've done on the project. It's about transparency and what may even be a legal interpretation needed here. Here's why. So I just took a walk outside and looked at the official bulletin board posting this meeting. This additional item does not appear right now outside on the official posting board that I saw. Maybe I misunderstood it. I didn't see this item on that board. Now, what I don't know, and this is the legal question, is what is our standard, I guess, of excellence, if you want to put it that way? What's our requirement for publicly posting as the law requires? I think it's 24 hours prior to the meeting or the calendar day before. I know in the case of the city of Colorado Springs, I got bit by this, by the way, one time recently, where the only posting the city government did for a recent meeting that they held, the agenda was not published online. It was published at the city clerk's office behind a glass board, exactly as we have here. From the city of Colorado Springs standpoint, that constitutes an official public notice. Put it on the city clerk posts it, it's locked behind glass, and it's there the calendar day before. That's very clear. That's Colorado Springs city government rules. Where I don't know, I'm not an attorney, is what is the law required, and did this meet the requirement that the state of Colorado has for posting agenda items, at least I think the day before? Tony?
24 hours searchable online is the Colorado requirement.
So I don't know how that fits into this. Was this posted prior to 1:30 yesterday online searchable?
So no, it was not. It came in at about 9 in the morning, and I failed to revise the agenda in the 2 authorized locations. So, however, the PPRTA attorney over the years has said that a recommending body does not necessarily have to abide by all of the rules that an approval body does. So potentially it was my error, but I also think that the attorney would rule that it could escape challenge if so challenged.
Okay. Thank you. It's a good answer. I still don't like the process. I think on this one I'll be voting no. I'm sure it'll pass, but I would like to underscore the importance that transparency, I think, has in this entire agency. There's nothing more important than having lots of sunshine on what we do. Everyone can see in advance what we're doing. There's no secrets, and I'm not implying anything other than the highest integrity of everyone involved with this. Still, it does not meet, I think, the highest standard of transparency. So I apologize.
But as Rick indicated, Jennifer Ivy, our attorney, has indicated that, in some cases, and it sounds like this would be one of those, that we could still go ahead for approval on this and still fall within the law and requirements. Is that a good statement, Rick?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I would just like to comment to Manitou Springs that we're not picking on you, but we are representing the public for pure transparency and to keep everything honest in this process. And we'd like for you to maybe put forth a little more effort in providing the minimums that we require to make our job a little easier. But when we put in our vote, we put in our vote with a lot of integrity, and we don't like making mistakes. Just like Tony pulled out $600. $600 is important. And so if you would please remind your staff that maybe a little more attention to what our requirements are would be very appreciated. I stand down.
All right, Karen, you'd like to make some additional comments?
Yeah, no, and I do appreciate the input on from all of you on this. As you know, we're really trying to make sure to comply with all the schedules, and with this project in particular, the need came up last minute. I apologize for not touching the graphics. I know it was just here in August, but I'll make sure to reattach the graphics. So that was my bad. And I think, Larry, that on Monday night, I just sent something to Rick preliminary to say, can I do this? And he responded, yes. And then Tuesday is when I did all the forms the way you're expecting to see it. So you can make sure that all the forms will be correct and the graphics will be attached in the future. But I do appreciate your input on this, and we'll keep striving to meet those schedules.
And I also understand that if you've got 3.5 weeks left on the contract, and that was one thing when I was a project manager for engineering. I got to a point where I hated repair and alteration projects, and basically that's what this is. And it was constant, one thing after another. It seemed like sometimes on some projects, and especially the one thing I used to hate was quote as-built drawings. Like you say, finding those rail lines that, were supposedly somewhere else. Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from on that. I've gone through that type of situations many times. So it's, I can understand your trying to get the project done in the next 3.5 weeks and still continuing to find things that were not originally, anticipated. And that's hard to deal with, with repair and alteration projects.
Thank you. I can appreciate your empathy for our position. And I just want you both to know that I hear you very loud and clear. This process needs to be followed, and I understand why for this transparency. It's really important, and I respect what you are doing by asking these questions. So thank you. I will do this correctly in the future and make sure that we're hitting all those deadlines so that we don't come into the situation again. So thank you for your patience and empathy as I bring this to you.
All right. Do we have any additional comments or questions? This one. Go ahead, Ed.
I'm guessing that you're going to have a complete packet with the full scope ready to go to the board. you know, I know you're presenting here to us today, but I think before you go any further to the board, I'd like to see the paper and everything that you've just outlined so that the actual board sees all of that, so that you don't have to go through the same thing explaining.
Yes, absolutely. We can have that put together, get all that information for you.
Okay, just wanted to be sure.
And this is Karen, just to clarify, what additional information were you asking for? Just what the CMO includes, or
But it
how
includes the complete packet that we would normally see. I just wanted to be sure that the actual board was going to have all the information available to them in the event that questions arise. I don't want to see you go through the same process you're doing today. So, you know, you basically have a week or a little more, you know, to get the information ready to Rick.
No, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay, 10 in the morning.
10 in the morning? But normally, I guess again, this is Karen Rowe, I'm PPRTA liaison. We do the summary, we do the contract memo request, and we do a map. What additional information
Okay, are you going to
is
have the
needed on
map
that?
and the information all available tomorrow?
Yeah, the same information that you guys see in the memo.
Okay.
We're not going to go into the details of the CMO because it's
Okay.
not written yet. So I will make sure that the graphics for the map are there, but I think the memo
Okay.
would remain the same. I just want to make
Okay.
sure that was sufficient.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's as complete as possible so that we live up
Okay.
to expectations.
And I think, Karen, this is Larry. I think what just Ed said about a map would be, you know, highly informative for the board, so that, you know, it's like the ones that we just saw with the ones that Gail just did. You know, she had a map
Yeah.
attached, you know, showing exactly where all this is occurring.
Yeah, no, and I had that in the August package, so it's easy.
Yes.
I can
Yes.
attach that there.
All right, good, thank you.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions for Karen or Manitou? Okay. Would you like to make a motion? Okay. Rick has made a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Tony has seconded. Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, Kathy is also a nay. So we have, it still passes, but we did have two no's on the vote.
So yes, the count would be 9-2.
Okay. All right, thank you. So the count would be 9-2 on this, and it does pass.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. All right, moving on. Our next one is our Metro update.
Thank you, Chair. Land Rail Transit Division, Mountain Metro Transit Division Manager, sorry. In your packet is our monthly transit report for information. If we go to the second page, you will see the ridership on the fixed route service in August. It did break the record that we set for August in 2023.
Just to say that again, I'm sorry.
In 2023, however, we were not able to break the new record that we set in July. So better than 2 years ago, not better than last month, previous months. So, but we're still very happy. It's slightly lower than July numbers, and it was very well used service this entire summer, and we're very happy about that. Under the transit highlight section, there are a couple of things that we would like to share with you. The first item is we are moving forward with our mobility hub planning efforts with our key partners. CDOT updated PPACG board in the last couple months about their newly updated 10-year strategic plan. And in the plan, there are two projects recommended funding for Mountain Metro Transit. Both are to build mobility hubs, one at Pikes Peak State College North Campus at Rampart, and the other one is at their South Campus at Centennial. So we're very happy and appreciate the funding proposal. So following up on that, we are moving forward with the planning phase of the project. We will host jointly with PPSC a town hall meeting on October 22nd at 11 o'clock at PPSC Rampart campus. The main goal for this town hall is to share the information and also get feedback from students, staff, faculty from PPSC on exactly what we see, how we would like to move forward, and the exact location. So more to come on this, but we're very excited to start this project. The second item that we included in this monthly report is our alternative transportation services implementation study. We kicked off this study on September 17th. This is really a study following our 2050 long-range transit plan. In the plan, one of the recommendations is to look at different types of transit services. One, fixed route plus ADA. Those services are the best options for this community. So with this study, what we're looking at is, could we really match the service we deliver with supply with the right type of demand? And also with the lower density, also the first mile, last mile connection challenges we have here, what are the best ways to provide service, maybe not only to the existing transit riders, also to people who are not currently riding transit. So offer more options to our community, to our riders, and also to really find that efficient way of providing transit service. So specifically in the study, we will look at many, many different options, including it could be microtransit, it could be a TNC type of Uber Lyft, similar type of service with partnership. It could be a commingled service. Maybe we can use smaller vans to carry both ADA paratransit certified riders as well as other riders who are not certified for ADA service. So we will be looking at a very wide range of service models, as well as the vehicles, how we implement that, how we contract with them. So more to come. This study is planned for 1 year. We in the next year, we will be going through a lot of different analysis led by our consultants. But hopefully, at the end of the study, we'll have some exciting recommendations that we can share with this. That's all I have.
Mr. Chair.
Right, Tony?
Lam, with the looking at putting mobility hubs at the various campuses, does Mountain Metro currently have anything with the college for providing student passes for the year, school year, that kind of thing? And if so, is that something that is used a lot by the students?
It's a great question. Yes, we do. We started this college pass program around 7, 8, 10 years ago with Pikes Peak Community College at the time. Then UCCS joined and CC joined. But during COVID, UCCS students were not using our bus service a lot, so they decided to cut the tie. But we have been in conversations with UCCS in the last year, and we're working on a pilot program with UCCS for their resident students. So 3 colleges for sure. We also expanded the program with also a pilot program with two District 2 special education programs. And that program had been in place for a number of years. And we just entered into another D11 student pass program last year. And since working and getting a lot of positive feedback, we have been approached by a number of special career programs, high school type of special educations. We're looking at both van pool service, something that we shared last month, as well as student pass program. Yes. Very well. Yes.
Go ahead, Dave.
Alana, as always, fantastic work. Keep up everything you and your staff and your team are doing. Two comments I'd like to offer. Comment number one is I did just a little, just for kicks and grins and a little back of the napkin thing. I'm struggling with this fact that you weren't able to break the all-time record in August compared to July. You were what, 1,400 people short of breaking an all-time record. So
very disappointed.
very well, but maybe not so. So I'm looking at the calendar. Of course, July and August are both 31-day months, as we know. But July was a 4-weekend month. August was a 5-weekend month. It's just the way the calendar falls. So I would argue, in terms of passengers carried per day, the month of August 2025 shall forever stand on that metric as your passengers per weekday. Congratulations on that account.
Thank you.
Okay. So I got that off my chest. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you. Keep up the great work there. Secondly, and many of you know that I like to share from a positive standpoint what a negative job is going on with the Denver RTD system. It was announced, many of you may have seen yesterday, that Denver, their RTD board announced they're going to pull the plug on what I would call ADA paratransit service on steroids. As many of you may know, if you qualify for ADA service and you're in the Denver RTD area, you can call for, I think it's 60 Uber rides a month. Something, it's insane. Yeah, and they're spending, I think it was $50 or $60 million a year, and they're wondering why they're running out of money and they can't keep their promises. And I won't even go into that. The bottom line is yesterday, I think the RTD people reluctantly decided they need to rethink the strategy, go back to what you're doing here, which is required by law. It does exceed the minimum expectations. You're doing a great job with ADA paratransit, and you're not allowing whatever the number is, 60 Uber rides for free a month, go anywhere, anytime you want to on RTD's nickel. So they're pulling the plug on that program. You never went down that path, so good on you. You're not in the red to the extent that Denver RTD is. So I congratulate you again on your management of the paratransit budget. The numbers look good, and I think they're reasonable. And I just want to compliment you on what you're doing and encourage you to keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gail has a comment.
I think Lane also has some other good news from the CASTA conference we needs to share with the CAC.
Yes. Thank you, Gail. Yes, I was very fortunate to attend the state transit hosted by CASTA, the State Transit Association, their annual conference last week. And at the conference, we won 2 awards. One is our Marketing Program of the Year award for our summer program, actually partnering with D11 high school kids with their artwork on our buses for zero fare. So we won that award, and this is the 3rd year in a row that we won that marketing award. The second award that we won was the Transit Professional of the Year award. Our operations manager and safety officer, Kevin Booth, was the successful awardee individual, won that award. Kevin has been a great addition to transit since a year and a half ago. Since he joined transit, he was able to staff the safety committee required by the FTA and really improve that union relationship frontline transit employees, taking their comments and feedback very seriously, making a whole bunch of improvements in our operation and getting very positive feedback from both frontline employees and our contractors and the community. So we are very proud and fortunate to have him. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Gail.
And I'd just like to make sure that you include those 2 awards in your presentation to the board next week.
Will do.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Gail.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Hey, Lan, I noticed you have increases all the way across the board, and congratulations on that. But I also noticed that your, excuse me, your RSH is flat. And I was wondering, is that an element that you use to try to research how you can increase that? I'd like to just hear your mouth off on that.
Yeah, this is really a way to capture that efficiency, how many people are riding the bus per hour when the bus is running. The more people we carry on the bus, the efficiency goes up. So that's another reason why we want to look at this alternatives service analysis, because there are low performing routes. Do they warrant a big bus? Do they warrant the size bus? Are there ways that we can basically reduce our cost and maybe the hours, then work on improving that efficiency? So that will be part of what we do. We actually have done that to a certain degree because of our vehicle shortage, but we want to make sure we have the right type of service going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good question.
All right, any additional comments or questions for Lan? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next item up, City of Colorado Springs monthly change order and property acquisition report.
Chair, Gail Sturdivant, City of Colorado Springs. I actually have items 7A through E, so I will go through them. They are all informational items, but I'll pause to see if you've got questions on each one. I'm sorry, 7B through.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So land took care of A. On B is the monthly change order and property acquisition report. That is provided in your packet information. For information, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on that item. All right, moving on to 7C. This is the powers reimbursement monthly summary. What I provided to you through in advance of this meeting, we had incurred an additional $223,017.43 in cost towards that project. That brings the total PPRTA reimbursable amount to basically 17.75 million with a 1.27 from Colorado Springs Utilities. We'll continue to provide this as costs are incurred to keep you informed, but rest assured the reimbursement agreement is in place. You'll see updates in the monthly financial reports that we're making those monthly reimbursements to Copper Ridge Metro District in accordance with the agreement. And just as a reminder, if you go to look at the financial statement to see that, the Powers Boulevard project, it's the north extension, and the reimbursement is split essentially 70-30 between the city and the county. So you'll see that in two different line items. And move on to 7D. Unfortunately, I just paper clipped it together here. All right, 7D. I wanted to give you an update on the advanced allocation that we got approval from the PPRTA board on in June of 2025. And in accordance, just as a reminder, in accordance with policy 7, we asked for an advanced allocation from PPRTA board management reserves to be able to advance the Brookside realignment. We'll be doing so with the PPRTA 3 intersections improvements program. And as I mentioned in the original letter, and I copied it on the second page so you can have it as a reference. We're really trying to get ahead and do these safety improvements in advance of a development activity, but need some cash flow assistance. So a reason why I mentioned that, because in accordance with policy 7, any monies I borrow in 25, I need a budget for and pay in 26. So it may be, we may have to use that revolving depending on how the budgets. I'm trying to budget for as much as possible in 26 to 27 to get that done. But I just know I have some big ticket items with some property acquisition that I'm going to hit. So I may still need to use that in the coming year or two. So the total that's been obligated underneath that is $339,106.50. Again, included in my 26 budget, and we'll have the 2.5 available if necessary in 26 in the future. Any questions on that item? I know this one's a little bit more complex. All right, the last one, let's talk about some potential future good news. Please forgive me as I prepared this memo that goes along with this draft level in advance of October 1st to get it submitted. So some of it isn't quite exactly right from what we were saying, but I'm going to go through it. But the federal government has the Bridge Investment Program, which was authorized by the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act. We are still anticipating what was fiscal years 24 and 25. I'm sorry, fiscal years 25 and 26 Bridge Investment Program grant funding. The monies from 25 were included in wasn't a continuing resolution. However, we ended up ending the 25-year fiscally and hoping to be able to have funding in 26 budget, but it is written into legislation, so we are anticipate there's going to be a grant program. The city has been preparing and intends to submit a bridge investment program grant to help support the Fillmore Bridge Replacement Project. The original NOFO, which is the Notice of Funding Opportunity, came out and it had multiple years, and it showed that our deadline for submittal is going to be November 1st. We were anticipating a revision to that NOFO, but more on the evaluation criteria, not on the dates. However, we were anticipating it to come out eminently, and we were also anticipating not changing the deadline date. So we've been prepared. So we have 1 month. But now we do know federal highways employees, you may not have known this, they were not furloughed because they are funded by Highway Transportation Trust Funds. However, we don't know if this is going to have an impact on the grant cycle, but we still have a November 1st deadline. So regardless of we're putting our application together, we're going to be ready. And one of the things I need is a letter of support from PPRTA and also a letter of funding commitment. Just as a reminder, PPRTA did this for me once before for the original planning grant, and then 2 when we submitted for this grant last year, which we've never heard if there's going to be an award on. But you can't have an opportunity if you don't at least submit. So we're submitting. I will tell you our funding plan, both on the last submittal and this one, is to request $48.72 million in federal funds. In PPRTA, there is a minimum 20% grant match. To make ourselves more competitive, we're offering a 30% local match. So we'd anticipate the PPRTA portion being just under $21 million. So we're asking for a recommendation to approve this letter of support and funding commitment that the city would support with their future budget appropriations.
Does anyone have any comments or questions for specifically on item number E, because we do have to vote on that particular item. The other were just general information items.
Thank you. I was just going to correct that. That is one I do need a vote on.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
A quick question, Gail, and as always, great overview. Tell us about the Tabor implications, if any. Hopefully the
Tabor implications with federal funds.
They don't flow through the state, right? So it's not laundered by the state.
Even if federal funds flow through the state, they do not impact Tabor. If it's state monies that come straight to us, that does impact Tabor.
Right. So these are not, just to be clear, these are not state bridge repair funds. These are federal funds that have no Tabor.
Correct. There is no Tabor impact from these funds.
Thank you.
And it's the only way to bring new monies into our region is to go and get these grants.
Good job.
Any other, Tony?
I'll make a motion if you.
Okay.
And move that we recommend approval, recommend that the board approve.
Item number E?
7E, yes.
Yeah, 7E. Okay, so we have a motion to approve item 7E. Do I have a second? All right, thanks, Steve. Do we have any additional discussion or comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously for approval of item 7E. All right, moving on. Rick, item report of recent board actions, item 8A.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a summary of the board's actions at their September 10 meeting. Be glad to take any questions. Just an information item.
And the next item is you again, Rick.
This is an information item notifying the CAC and particularly the 7 CAC members whose terms are up December 31 of this year. As you know, the CAC bylaws prescribe that approximately a third of the 21 members are up on a staggered basis. And as you can see, the 7 members are Steve Murray, Larry Tobias, Carl Stang, Brandy Williams, Rich Zamora, Jeff Snelling, and Jamie Smith. They'll need to take some action if they want to request to be reappointed for another term. Steve, Larry, and Carl need to make their application to their respective member governments. Steve to the city, Larry to the county, and Carl to City of Manitou Springs. Brandy, Rich, Jeff, and Jamie would need to send a request for reappointment through me to the board and by Tuesday, November 4, so I can get that on the board's agenda for them to begin to take action. But you'll recall that the at-large and at-large alternate members are reviewed by a subcommittee of the board comprised of the board chair, board vice chair, and the CAC chair. That subcommittee set up by board policy. So that's the information and the advice for the applicable 7. So I'll be glad to take any questions.
Okay, item 8C.
Okay, this is the staff field review report, results of my windshield drive around on a quarterly basis to confirm what the member governments have reported have been completed, and in this case, in the second quarter, calendar quarter of 2025. Be glad to take any questions.
Hearing none, item, Dave, did you?
Yeah, just one question. And this Manitou thing, as you know, has me a bit frustrated. Next time you go out there, Rick, would you add maybe a little extra attention, just see if lay your own eyes, maybe you have already, on this Manitou project. I'm still troubled, and maybe that's a topic for the next item on our agenda for the next meeting. But just add that to your drive around. Keep an extra good watch on that. It's disquieting to see these continual series of issues come from Manitou. So add a little extra attention to that.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Do we have any agenda items or topics for next meeting other than Manitou Springs, which you just brought up?
If I could just clarify on that, Mr. Chair. So I don't know that I want to talk about Manitou necessarily specifically, but I think just this whole topic that we went through today, I'll leave it to you as to how, if, or should, maybe you and the chair can discuss it. But I think that maybe establishing a clear expectation of timeframes that Manitou for sure, but all the agencies seem to meet your requirements comfortably. I think 4 out of 4 requests from Manitou coming in with their hair on fire is a little beyond what our patience needs to be. So if we need a formal policy for deadlines, I'm all for discussing that on a future agenda. If you think you can handle it just between discussions as you have and be maybe a little more reluctant to take in incomplete staff work, I'll leave it to your good judgment. But I think that if ever there was a time to talk about setting the highest standards of transparency, the sunshine issue that we talked about, and then full, complete staff work, I'm all for a future agenda item to talk about that.
All right, so Jim and Rick and I can discuss that between now and next month. Any other agenda topics for next meeting? Okay, item number 10, communications. Josh, you weren't even on the agenda today for anything. Do you want to make any comments for El Paso County?
No, my goal is to have no agenda items. That means things are going well. But you'll see coming up here soon, we have a kind of a calm before the storm. So you'll see quite a few items from the county in the next couple months.
All right. Okay, thanks. All right, final item. Do we have any, well, I'll double check. Any other additional communications? Okay, none being so, we're at item number 11, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? And so we adjourned at 2:50, let's see, 2:53. All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending and your input for the agenda today. Thank you.
Larry, thank you for your patience with me.